Good morning, grade 8. Hope you're all fine. In this lesson, we're going to do a quick recap about East Asia, and we're going also to include China's rivers and plains. So let's begin our lesson. Things we must learn from this lesson is to be able to know how physical geography and climate influence the population distribution over this part of East Asia. We're also going to know some of the vocabulary words that we have here, which include mainland and basin. So let's start together our lesson. The physical geography of East Asia includes countries such as China, Mongolia, which spread across the mainland, which is the land of the continent itself. We can see also countries such as Japan and Taiwan, which is mainly on islands that's surrounded by water from all sides, and North Korea and South Korea. North and South Korea is called the peninsula. It's the Korean peninsula. Peninsula, of course, we took it before, but just to remind you, with it, a peninsula is a land that's surrounded by water from three sides and have a strip of land connected to the mainland of the continent. For the landforms and water, we can see that East Asia's landform having high mountain and plateaus, such as the Kunlan Mountains and the Tibetan Plateau. We also have the Gobi Desert, which covers parts of China and Mongolia. As for the bodies of water, we can see major rivers in East Asia, such as the Changyang River in China, that the river basins there support large population. Meaning of river basin is the sides of the river which have fertile soil that is good for farming and agriculture, though it would be, of course, fit for people to live on these sides of the river. We also have many East Asian live near the coastal areas and low-lying plains near the Pacific Ocean. These coastal areas, they depend on fishing, trade, and transportation. The climate map that we have here is mentioning the effect of the climate on the population of East Asia. We can see from it that the East Asia climate ranges from tropical in some parts of China, South Korea, and Japan to the desert in much of Mongolia. We can see also that the monsoons greatly influence the region's climate. These monsoons are seasonal winds that brings hot rainy summer and cool dry winters in some parts of East Asia. So continuing as a recap on what we took previously, in this lesson we're going to talk about China's river and plains. From this lesson you should be able to know the benefits of rivers in China and how the Chinese controlled this river to get the best of it. You would also be able to know the vocabulary that we have here, which is erode and alluvium and Lewis. These are the main vocabulary words that we know through the lesson. For the landforms and water, we can see that East Asia's landform having high mountain and plateaus, such as the Kunlan Mountains and the Tibetan Plateau. We also have the Gobi Desert, which covers parts of China and Mongolia. The Changyang or the Yangtze River in China is the longest river there. It passes through the Chiwan Basin and the Changyang Plain. We have another longest river also, which is China's second longest river. It's the Huanghe, which flows through the North Chinese plains. We also have this Huanghe called the Yellow River because it flows through an arid region that contains loess. An arid region is a dry area, and the loess is a yellow gray soil that is carried by the river from its erosion of the rocks or the areas around these land that the river flows in. China's river valley provide rich agriculture and land for growing rice and other uh, things for people to eat. They also support many cities such as Beijing and Shanghai. Controlling the river. We can see frequent flooding of the river leaves behind it deposits of fertile soil. This fertile soil is good for farming and agriculture of the land. This is for the positive effect. But what about the negative effect? Over the centuries, floods have also caused a lot of deaths. These deaths would be prevented or not happening because of the Chinese engineers tackled this problem by creating dams to hold back the water. This dams was very important to stop the deaths that happens and stop the negative effect of the floods, and also it would provide the people with electricity and extra water that they need for farming. One of the things that used to control the river is connecting China's major rivers, which are the Huanghe and the Changying, which flows from west to east. The Chinese built a structure called the Grand Canal, which flows from north to south. The Grand Canal is around 1,100 miles long. It's the longest in the world that links cities of Beijing to Guangzhou, south of China. Barges travel along the canal. Barges is, of course, big ships with containers over it carrying bulk of goods such as coal and gravel.